Hey guys, welcome to another episode of my channel. We're actually doing something new this time. I'm actually trying a new platform, a new little thing. I think we're gonna call it Thoughts Unglued or Thoughts Untapped, somewhere around there. I'm not sure yet. It's a work in progress. However, we are here at a local store called Lotus Grounds. We are going to share some thoughts and everything else. Having a fun little discussion about 4 different topics today. I have my good friends. I have Q, and I also have Rob, who actually owns this shop. So why don't you guys talk a little bit about yourself? Who wants to go first?
The owner should go first.
Cool.
For sure.
My name is Robert. I am the owner of Lotus Grounds Games here in Chatham, Illinois. I have been playing Magic since I was a teenager. 1994, I think, is when I first got into it, and playing on and off for ever since that time. I got out of it back in 2005, got back into it in 2019, and haven't looked back. I've been a judge back when there was a judge program. I thoroughly enjoy Commander. I just really enjoy building a community. I enjoy helping others learn. I don't know if there's a whole lot else to really say. I think that pretty much captures at least my
I so badly
nerddom
want to do the
in a
whole
nutshell.
back in my day joke with you, but I started Magic when Magic started, so I have no room to talk.
Yes, but to be fair, I think I was older,
You were still older than me, yes.
so
but
I
it's
could drive when I started Magic.
fair.
Hi, I'm Q. I'm relatively newer to Magic than everybody else at the table. I started back in 2022 and have become a huge fan of Magic to the point of getting it forever branded on my skin with a nice little tattoo. I have been working in card shops and comic book stores for about 6, close to 7 years, and I'm just really happy to be here.
I think that's the other reason why I also was excited about having you guys, because we are all 3 major comic book nerds too. And so I know even after the recording, that's probably going to be a fun little tangent we're all going to go on, because it's always fun to talk about comics.
It's struggling. I am struggling not to go into a tangent about comics right now. That is a constant, everyday challenge for me.
That's fair. So, like I said, there's about 4 topics I want to talk about, and it's one of those things that we're not here to be like, oh no, you're wrong, you're this. I mean, we're happy to debate. I'm happy to have everybody's opinions. The biggest thing is, like, and I'll stress this for each of the things, I'm not looking for whether or not, oh, well, Magic will or won't do this or whatever. I want to know our thoughts, our opinions.
Yes, but as the store owner, I am always right.
I thought the customer was always right.
I thought,
Oh, you were lied to.
I thought the content creator was always right.
You were also lied to.
Well, guys, it's going to be a fun little episode.
And cut. Roll credits.
All right, so first thing I wanted to bring up, because this is one that I've been mulling over for a hot minute. Should Magic consider ever going back to block sets to give more attention to the story and lore? And I'm not saying that, whether or not they will. I'm looking at more like, let's look at Duskmourn or Bloomburrow or any of those. We got one expansion, and I feel like they tried to cram too much too fast to where we really didn't get a chance to truly digest and then know what's going on. Like, if you ask me what happened to Bluebird, I could be like, there's animals. That's all I know.
Go ahead.
Well, I have 2 different thoughts on this, and one of them is from a almost like the Wizards perspective, and I kind of see where they're coming from on this one.
Okay.
The reason they left the block format, at least this is my understanding, is that if they commit to a 3 set block, and the first set doesn't do well, and you can look at, or not, just not well received. You can look at even the original Kamigawa block.
Okay.
Maybe the mechanics just aren't that well received. The aesthetics aren't that well received to the general populace. Then they're kind of stuck with that for an entire year. That means that they've got an entire year of poor sales.
That's fair.
And that could be devastating to the company.
See, like, I don't even think 3 blocks would be right. I think that'd be too much. I think just 2 blocks, 2 set blocks would be good. I think that would be plenty to at least give us a chance to really absorb what happened. But what was your other thoughts?
Well, then there's my thought as one of the things that sucked me into Magic is, when I was a teenager, when The Dark was out, I remember I still have the book, the novelization of The Dark. And then when Mirage and Visions were out, and Tempest, and all these, where they started building a story around Magic. And that's what kept me playing Magic, was the story that went along with all these, and this big overarching theme. And I don't want these quick one and done. You look at Bloomburrow, and I love the Bloomburrow, but especially Duskmorn. I loved going to Duskmorn with these rooms, and I hate that I got one set of it and that was it. I'd love to see what more they could have done with it. And so, I see why Wizards is doing it the way they're doing, but God, it for me it does kind of suck from a fan perspective.
Yeah.
To see only one for each plane at a time. Now, yeah, we do get to then have these big, we're returning to Strixhaven in a few months, and we just got to go back to Lorwyn, although even with Lorwyn, we had, 2 or 3 sets the last time we were...
Yeah.
I wasn't playing during that time.
It's
that was
very... and then now you have just the one, and I mean, it's the same thing with Tarkir. All I know about Tarkir is dragons are back. But yeah, go ahead.
I'm kind of in a similar mindset as you, Rob. At the end of the day, this card game is, in fact, a product that they're trying to sell, and they want to capitalize their monetary value, and that's really just kind of the name of the game. But in my perspective, I value a good story being told, which is one of the things that really kind of got me into Magic.
Yeah.
The lore behind it, the characters, their stories. And I feel like the stories that are releasing alongside the set, just been kind of lackluster. I love Duskmorn, but the story of Thunder Junction, which honestly was one of my favorite sets, I found very lacking and just kind of uncoordinated.
But see, I think Thunder Junction is a good example of why we shouldn't do 3-block sets, because Thunder Junction, to me, I don't think I'd buy a whole lot of Thunder Junction if we had to do 3 sets of it.
Yeah.
It was
which is a very good point.
The Old West didn't interest me. I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
So,
And see, that's where I am on the spot of, I don't want 3-block sets. Like, back then it made sense.
Yeah.
Now I feel like 2 sets for a block would be perfect.
I agree.
Because we get a little bit more to digest, we get a little bit more understand. Because I could look back at the older sets, like the cards of the older sets, even when I look at the apps I have to see the older sets. Just look at the cards, I can kind of get a gist of what's happening in the story. I don't have to use the book.
Yeah.
The cards kind of help share the story, help tell the story. Whereas now I look at Thunder Junction, Duskmorn, Bloomburrow, I get inklings of it, but if I really want to know, I have to look online for the online novelization that Wizards released. And it's like, it shouldn't have to be where I have to rely on that. The cards should be telling us the story to where we can truly grasp it by looking at the cards.
fair, but I think even back in the when we had the 3-block sets, I think just looking at the cards was sometimes difficult to grasp the story. And the stuff that's released now, they do the story spotlight cards, the ones the cards that are designed to show a pivotal event from the story.
Fair.
They do a decent job of showing the story through the cards. You just have to somehow put the cards in the right order.
Right.
Like a puzzle.
Kinda, yeah. Which would be really cool to, which would be neat if they actually gave us some sort of like order where we could, hey, if you collect all the cards, you can then put them.
I mean,
it'd
be beautiful
like
if they had them.
picture.
If they'd be beautiful if they had them in numerical orders, how it tells the story. So instead of just bouncing around, you could be like,
well, but then
one's beginning, 2, second, 3, 4.
But they put them in order. The numbers are specific to. They put all the white cards first, and then
I get how they do it. And I can respect it. I just thinking story wise that.
But it'd be nice if they put maybe a story number at the bottom.
That would work too.
They have the card number, but then they put like story number 1. And they don't have to do that with all the cards, but like story
The
1, story
ones.
2, story the story spotlight cards. That way we can order them.
If I could jump back to
go
just
for
the
it.
story, the thing that, and this is a common pattern that I've been noticing with because I started following the story back right at the end of the second Phyrexian invasion. It seems that they're really just trying to force 2 stories into one set. Whatever's going on in that plane at that time, and what's the continuing overall story that it moves between the planes. Mm-hmm. And I feel like 2 set block or a 2 block per the set, which isn't ideal if you don't like the cowboys or the spaceships or whatever the third
Detectives.
thing, the detectives, which I get. Like, no one wants to spend too long on something they don't like, but I just feel as though they could maybe not cram so much into one set as far as the story goes.
I think that's kind of where I'm at. I'm on a very similar page with that, in my opinion.
Speaking of stories, and I don't know if you guys are aware of this, and I'm not trying to like say, hey, buy them here, but it was one thing that I noticed when I was able to pre-order is they're actually releasing novels for Strixhaven again,
Oh,
like
yeah.
physical novels. Not
Yeah.
You don't have to buy them online.
Awesome.
So-
By the way, hashtag not sponsored.
yeah, I'm not. This was done just because we're good friends, but
Yeah.
So any last thoughts on this one before we move to the next topic? Because the next topic I think is going to be fun to see, especially I know like where you are kind of business-wise, but I want to hear the personal side of it
yeah,
too.
go for it.
So the next one is, are proxies okay? And if so, when is it too much or not okay? Where's the line?
You go first. I'll
Okay.
go. You let me go first last time. I'll let you go
So-
first this time.
I'm pro proxy. I say that, but I also believe in like there has to be like a certain kind of common sense. My personal rule with proxies is I have to own the card before I proxy it. So
I can respect that.
I live on a paycheck to paycheck kind of budget, and really I only get to play Magic maybe once, twice a week. And so it's hard for me to justify having like multiple copies of something like an Anointed Procession or several copies of Black Market Connections, because those are both just very good cards that go in so many of my decks, and I can't really justify having spent hundreds of dollars for one card that I can just span across several sets. So my usual solution to that is I buy the card and then I'll make 1 or 2 proxies of it, and the most important thing for me is to rule zero it. Like, hey, I own the real card, I can show it to you if you'd like, but I am running a proxy in it. And the line for me is when you are proxying an entire deck, which I know I'm probably going to put some targets on my back because I know some people who do that, but I think that's when I feel like that just kind of defeats the spirit of a trading card game.
Okay. So I will go ahead if you don't mind. I do agree with the rule zero thing. I do completely agree with that. I also feel like sometimes I can understand when people proxy like very high dollar cards if they already own it and they don't want to put that high dollar card at risk. If you were to have like the One Ring and you don't want to risk that getting damaged, I get it. But my whole thing with proxies, and I normally don't have an issue with them because again, rule zero, is I don't mind a full deck proxy if it's something like what I want to do, where I just want to make a proxy deck of cards I have, but I want to redo the art to be all Castlevania themed because I'm a big Castlevania nerd. But I don't like the idea about just, these are like the big cards, so I'm going to proxy everything even though I don't have them, or I'm going to proxy cards that make it where my deck is borderline CEDH. When you're like high 4,
Right.
because you have proxied ridiculously powerful cards, I have a problem with that because I'm like, that makes it kind of unfair for everybody else at the table. But those are where my line is, where I draw the line in the sand.
Yeah.
So, much like the previous topic, there are 2 different lines of thoughts that I have on
Yeah, this is exactly why I wanted you here, because I knew this would be great.
I know. So I'm going to go over where I am as a store owner first. So I have an official policy for the store, and this is officially if we run a sanctioned Magic event, proxies are not allowed. This is per Wizards policy. You can look in the MTR, these are the Magic Tournament rules. Proxies are only allowed in very limited circumstances. And these are generally if a card was damaged during the course of an event and no longer playable and a replacement is not available, the head judge may issue a proxy.
Confetti explosion.
That card luckily isn't legal anyways, but or if a card is played and this card exists only as a foil. That scenario, I don't believe, is even applicable anymore. It used to be very noticeable for Nexus of Fate, which was a box topper for I think Core 2019. It only existed as a foil for a while, and foils, of course, as a lot of Magic players know, will sometimes curl, and when they curl, they're marked cards.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very known that since this didn't exist as a non-foil, people. It was acceptable to ask the head judge to proxy it, but only the head judge was allowed to proxy it. Those are the only two scenarios where proxies are supposed to be allowed in a sanctioned event. Notably, only the head judge can even make that determination.
Mm-hmm.
And any time that we are sanctioned is any time that we enter in players into the event link and we report it to Wizards as, hey, we had these people sitting down in the store. So the official response is, if we are reporting to Wizards as official play, we do not allow proxies.
Yes.
That being said, for casual play, I don't go around checking people's decks and whatnot. I don't think any store will do that. But my official policy is no proxies. We do have a once a month competitive commander event that is 100% proxy friendly. We do not report that to Wizards. It's not that we don't tell Wizards, oh, we're using proxies. We don't put them in. Thanks, Q. We don't put them into Event Link. We don't report that it is not a Wizard sanctioned event, and this is done intentionally. The CDH community is very proxy friendly, and we'd rather have these people in the store playing the game than discouraging them from showing up. That is the official policy. That is the store policy. That is also the policy as a judge when somebody asks me what's the official policy on proxies.
So taking off the official hat,
Yes.
the personal hat.
Personally. And even this is kind of how I will use proxies myself versus when somebody else sits down with proxies. When somebody else sits down with proxies, I would prefer the proxies to be reasonably well done, not handwritten on a blank piece of paper.
Been there, done that.
I mean, and so have I, but I've realized there's just better ways to do it, right?
Yeah.
I would prefer the entire deck not be proxies unless you're trying to go for a theme. And I would prefer you not proxying stupid expensive cards that you're never going to have a chance of actually buying. Like don't proxy the Time Twister and the what's the legendary land from Legends that like gives everything an upkeep. It's irrelevant.
Or like a
time.
Mishra's Factory.
Something,
Or
yes,
Workshop
Mishra's,
or whatever it was.
Mishra's Workshop, I think.
Yeah.
Don't proxy those cards if if they're just completely outside of your price range.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gaia's Cradle, those sort of things.
Because
Because the whole point of proxies is supposed to be they're supposed to be more akin to playtest cards.
Yeah.
Cards that you're planning on getting that you just don't have yet. That's how I feel for other people. But if somebody sits down with me, I'd much rather just have fun and enjoy the game. I think that this is where the Rule Zero conversation comes into play, and quite frankly, I think this is where the bracket system works out well because
I agree.
realistically, those expensive cards are generally going to put it into a higher bracket anyways. And if we sit down and say, look, I'm only playing a bracket 2 deck, I'm probably not going to. I'm not really going to care as long as again the proxies are legible.
Yeah.
Also, I can't believe you said the One Ring used to be proxied as an expensive card.
I've seen somebody do it. Seen somebody
Look, I've
proxy
proxied a One Ring, but not because it's too expensive. Not because
Well,
not because I don't want to put it in the deck because it's too expensive.
No, the person I saw proxy the One Ring was like a proxy of the serialized One Ring, and I'm like, are you serious?
I actually have one of those, but it's not like I own. Anyway, so me personally, I will only proxy cards that I own. I do not have a problem with putting expensive cards in my deck. What I will do is, if there's multiple art printings of the card, I will go out and buy the multiple art printings of the card. Because the other thing, in addition to story, that drew me into Magic was the art.
Art, yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
And so when there's different printings that all have different arts, I will buy those different printings. I love them. And once that's done, if the card is worth, $20, $30, $40, $50, $100, I will generally order a proxy. Not always. Sometimes if I just find it and I'm just like, yeah, I've got the money, I'll buy it. Yeah. I try to steer to move all my decks away from being proxies at every chance I get. And then, of course, there's the deck. I am still, it feels like it's going to take forever, I'm still working on a deck that's completely Transformer themed.
Yeah.
That I'm working on proxying all the decks so that they
That's
are
a fun theme.
100% Transformers.
Just
If
like
I
my Castlevania's a fun
Yeah.
theme.
And if I could piggyback off that, I will say there are times where I will proxy a card just because I found like this really cool piece of fan art or this, like my Minthara deck, when the Baldur's Gate set came out, the Baldur's Gate 3 video game was still in the beta testing, so they used the beta version of Minthara, and I'm like, okay, well, I like that, but I also kind of want it to look like how the final product looked.
Yeah.
I mean, I proxied a Psy Master Thopterist, who's like $1 card, because I needed to make a wheeljack for my deck.
Yeah.
Well, and I think I want to also point out the fact that you did say something that I fully agree with this, which is proxies a lot of times are meant to be for playtesting.
Yeah.
I mean, my Chaos deck still has the proxies, and that's why I did the hand wave about the hand-drawn stuff, because those were my proxies for my Chaos deck. But that's because I still haven't gotten a chance to go find somewhere to buy a Teferi's puzzle box and this and that and everything else. Working on it, gonna get them, but for right now, it's okay.
Right.
But I think it's also actually, and maybe we should have done this at the start, but there is also a difference between proxy, playtest, and counterfeit. And I think
That's
a lot of
true.
people,
Oh, yeah.
That is 1,000,000% true.
a proxy is meant as a stand-in for a card. And again, Wizards has a very set definition of what a proxy is used for. A playtest is a card that's used to test how it's going to work in the deck before you purchase it. A counterfeit is a card that is meant to look real.
Right.
Proxies shouldn't look real.
No,
Like if you have a
absolutely
card
not.
that when you look on the front and back, it could very well, you could mistake it. Somebody that doesn't know Magic as well could mistake it as a real thing.
and you can
That's
get
a
them for
counterfeit.
it, yeah.
That's a counterfeit.
That's just leading into just making bad deals, bad trades, and just absolutely intentionally
It is
1,000,000%.
yes.
over other people.
So anytime I order a proxy, even if I've ordered the same front image as the regular art, I make sure that the back is
Yeah.
different.
Yes.
I will never order because I don't want to take the chance of, like, let's say I just sell my entire collection or die, and then my collection gets sold off. I don't want these to be
Yeah.
sold off as, hey, these are, somebody might think that these are real cards, and I don't want them to. Anyway, so it's, I think it's, you know, I am very much talking about proxy, not counterfeit.
Yeah.
There is a difference.
Big
Because I'm not trying to pass off any cards as real. If somebody sits down across from me with a counterfeit card that's made to look absolutely real, I will have a problem with that.
I-
Because
I
that
will-
is
I will draw
that's
that line.
that's kind of a moral distinction of you shouldn't even have that in your in your
Yes.
possession.
Yeah. And
So it's a distinction we need to make,
Yeah.
because I see a lot of this argument online.
I think that's a good point that I'm glad you pointed that out for the distinction so the viewers have that.
Right.
You were going to say?
there's also the argument that proxies aren't fair to people who have actually bought the cards, which I can see the viewpoint of that, but going back to what I said, like for someone who doesn't have the money to own several copies of the Anointed Procession, Odger Talk, or I'm just listing token doublers at this point, but I'm my point being is I feel like proxies are meant to make things more accessible, but not at the.
I do feel the
Well-
economy of Magic has gotten sometimes very hard to keep up with.
Well, while you're right to an extent, like all the proxies that you now own. I know at
Yeah.
one point you were doing proxies of cards that you didn't own.
Yeah,
But-
then I started feeling guilty about it.
Right, which I feel that you actually should.
Yeah.
Because you weren't doing play testing. You were simply saying, I'd like to play with these cards, but I don't own them. And
Yeah.
and that I feel like for me, I won't do.
Right.
I think the one exception is I have a proxy of a Time Twister, but that's only came as a set of
Right.
these other like blue staples.
Right.
And I use it in one deck because I would really love a Time Twister for this deck.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like the one exception I make that and I think I even took it out of this deck because because I decided I'm like, I have a Wheel of Fortune in the deck, but it's a real Wheel of Fortune. I just don't have a time
Chaos
twister. No, it's my Shabraz the Sky Shark
Gotcha.
and Growlin.
I was
And
expecting it to be the
it's
chaos
my
deck
all
because
draw.
it's a
It's
wheel.
my all draw deck. Anyway, but it's part of Magic is a collectible card game.
Yeah.
It's while I understand that there's this thing of you shouldn't play against somebody's wallet, but number one, if everybody proxied, card stores are out of business,
Oh, yeah.
and ultimately
100%.
Magic would cease to
Yeah.
exist. But number two, part of it is building with what you can buy and what you can afford.
Right.
And and I think that kind of breeds creativity.
Yeah.
Instead of just saying, well, I don't need to worry about what I can and can't add to this deck because I can just proxy everything.
Right.
And maybe even make a really bad quality proxy by going to the library and just printing off
Yeah.
a bunch of stuff for free, which I've had somebody do against me, and I really hated it because
Oh, yeah.
every single card I had to look and squint and try to
Oh,
figure
yeah.
out what he was playing with.
And
you probably remember who I'm talking about.
Yeah. And if I could tell a funny story, and
Yeah.
I don't know if I should. You might watch this, but
I would say just don't mention names.
yeah, I played against a person who their proxy was just like a basic land with a piece of notebook paper. This is not. It didn't have the effect; just had the name of the card.
Oh my
and
gosh.
I had whenever they played it, they like describe what it does, and
See, I have a problem with that. I want to be able to have the description
Right.
as best as possible on
Yeah.
the card. Like, one of my cards I
Right.
do have where it's like really tiny print because the actual
Yeah.
card is really tiny print because it's like so much text in one tiny box
Yeah.
for the actual legit card. And I'm like, one day I'm going to get that card because that
Yeah.
was a pain
And
in the butt to
whenever
write.
they played the
tiny
cards,
print.
we'd have to stop so someone could pull out their phone, look up the card, and
That would drive me nuts.
See, and that was one of the first things that I said when I'm talking about
Yeah.
what playing against is I want the cards to be
Right.
legible.
Yes.
I feel
Not
like that's
just written on
that's
on
required.
a little piece of paper.
And the moral of the point I'm trying to make is with proxies, I feel there has to be just a certain amount of common sense when it comes to them.
Fair.
Yes. I will agree with that. Any last thoughts on the proxies?
No, I think
Everything Rob said is wrong. I'm always right.
store,
Oh, jeez.
I'm gonna pull out the store owner card again. And,
I'm banned.
Okay, that being said, that being said, we did mention about high value cards and everything else, and I did make the talk about somebody's serialized proxy card. So that's going to kind of segue into the next question I have. And again, I'm not worried about what Magic would do. I want to know personal opinions on this. Is Magic shooting themselves in the foot, financially and business-wise, by having serialized cards and serialized stuff for collector boxes?
Can I go first?
Go for it.
Okay. I'm not going to be making any friends with this take. So I think that, yeah, it definitely helps their numbers. It helps their sales by doing serialized cards. But I think it is an awful thing to do to consumers because it's going to invite a certain subgroup of buyers into the card game. And I think we know who I'm talking about. Scalpers who will buy a product and try to resell it at
Logan or Jake Paul or whatever Paul hasn't.
yeah
opened
one
Magic
of
cards
the
yet.
generic Pauls.
One of the generic Pauls hasn't cracked open Magic yet. so we're
Not
safe.
yet, and that's the problem. And I think that while it's good for numbers, it's anti-consumer to have serialized cards.
Okay.
Okay. I have the exact. I used to have that view, and actually my first instinct when they announced the one of one ring was that this is going to be bad for stores because I felt that once that one of one ring was pulled, people are going to stop buying the collector packs. That was wrong, as I demonstrated today when I bought one of my own collector packs of Lord of the Rings.
Isn't that kind of like a fixed statistic, though?
Well, but the point is that it's like as people search for these,
Oh,
they
yeah.
are like once it's been found, and especially because the serialized ones are easy to track. Like we know that the one of one ring was found,
Yeah.
and we know that's the only one.
Yeah.
There are ways to track the serialized ones,
Like
because
how many of the serialized ones have been
are
discovered? blah,
correct,
blah,
or at least have been publicly announced that they've been discovered. Here's the thing. They're only available in collector packs,
Mhm.
and collector packs are meant to be premium products.
Right.
Okay.
They're printed at limited quantities. They are not necessary to play the game. The presence of the serialized cards means that there's a higher demand for the collector packs.
Yeah.
Right.
We sold our Lorwyn collector packs for, I think, the MSRP of $26.99, but we probably could have gotten away with higher.
Right.
And we sold out before the first week was up. Now, we didn't have a huge amount because we're a new store, but the point is the collector packs, and myself included, because I love buying collector packs.
Right.
There's a higher demand for those
Oh, absolutely.
in part because of the serialized cards. Now, the funny thing is that the serialized cards are so difficult to move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you get out of the first couple weeks, they're very difficult to move.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They're not impossible, but they are hard to move. But I don't think Wizards is hurting themselves with those.
Okay.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely not. Wizards is doing great by doing that.
See, I disagree wholeheartedly. I think that in using my brain as business and accounting and everything else, and my business brain doesn't know card shop business. It knows other type of business.
Don't worry, I don't know card shop either.
I can tell.
Jeez. Anyway, I feel like they're shooting themselves in the foot because even when they have sold sets that did not have serialized cards, collector packs still go like hotcakes. They do. People love the shinies. People love the alt arts. People love all those things. And when you make a collector card, collector box that has a serialized card, first off, now you have a limited amount of collector boxes you can make. And once those are gone, they're gone. Because on the back of the pack, as well as in the box, it will say what the odds are. Now, they could do, I wish they would, they could do, like, for example, a Final Fantasy 2.0 and release the whole collector box again, minus the serialized card, and just change the text on those packs and those boxes. But I don't think they will. But unfortunately, even though the demand is so high for so many different serialized packs, I'm sorry, serialized, so many collector packs, they have made such a limited supply that they cannot meet that demand. So once it's gone, it's gone. And Wizards is only going to sell it for what their baseline is. The stores and third-party markets, they can up and down the price and whatever to the MSRP or whatever they want. That's a discretion they have. So even though, for example, say Rob wanted to sell a Lorwyn collector pack for $50, that's extra money in Rob's pocket, his business pocket, but not in Magic's pocket, not in Wizard's pocket. Whereas if they had more availability, more collector boxes they could do because they didn't shoot themselves in the foot with serialized, they could make a lot of money, even more than they already are.
Right.
Well, I think the presence of serialized doesn't dictate how many collector boxes they produce. The presence of serialized is simply a draw. It's a way to get consumers excited about a product.
Right.
Now there are other ways to get consumers excited about a product, but when there's like for Lorwyn, it was the Bitter Bloom Bearer, I think,
Yeah.
was the serialized
Yeah.
card for the set. People got so excited to try to pull this thing, and I think that's part of the
it's
reason.
still exciting, yeah.
Part of the reason why the Lorwyn Eclipse collector boosters were so exciting. Now, there are other ways to, not every set has serialized cards. Bloomberg, I don't think had serialized cards.
It did not.
No,
And
but
those
it sold
collector, those
beautifully.
it did, but in part because of the raised foil, which were extremely rare. Not
Yes.
as rare as as serialized cards, but still extremely rare.
But they can make more raised foils and re-release that collector pack.
They
They cannot make more serialized cards.
Right.
And that's where I'm coming from.
They could serialize other cards. They don't serialize every for Lorwyn, they could turn around and say, okay, we're gonna re-release the collectors. We're gonna serialize Vexing Squelcher.
They're going to have to change the name, though, because people are going to confuse and misassociate.
Why?
That's the problem.
Check out my serialized basic Swamp.
Why would they have to change the name?
Because if people right now were to say, oh, I want a Lorwyn Eclipse collector pack, they're going to think that they have a chance for that current serialized. if there's a different serialized and they're misinformed or misleading to think they're getting this, but they're going to have something else, that's false advertisement in the
Okay.
eye of the consumer.
Okay, I'm
and
following
that
what
could
you're
be a
saying.
legal issue.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Fair. But they also, this is also why for collector packs, they only print a limited run of them.
I just feel like
they
could
print a limited
more.
run. Well, they could print more, but then the demand would actually decrease because as supply increases, demand will decrease. Because all of a sudden, like stores will not order as much because then they're like, well, we can't even move the stuff we have because there's too much of it.
I can see where you're coming from with that. I can understand that. I just look at the thing that, like, going to Final Fantasy, the demand even to this day is astronomical. And if they did not have the serialized Chocobo, I feel like it's going to be till next year that we're going to see that demand finally dwindle down. Even I think this whole year, you're going to see a demand
I
for
don't.
Final Fantasy because people are so engrossed in it.
I don't think it was because of the serialized chocobo that the demand was so high.
But I know it's not. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying that because it's serialized Chocobo. I'm saying because that was in there, they can't make more to feed that demand.
But okay, let's look at some of the other. Let's Bloomborough. The demand is up there. But they still
Absolutely.
haven't made more. They still haven't made more.
Yeah.
Right.
They could, but they haven't.
I think they're
They're-
shooting
they're-
themselves in the foot.
But it's not. It has not. My point is, it has nothing to do with serialized.
Right.
It simply has to do with the fact that the collector boosters for them, they want to limit the amount that are just out there, because they want it to be a collector product. A collector product ceases to be a collector product if there's more out there.
Right. And I see the appeal. Like, if I can just like put perspective as far as a comic book collector, artists will release like a set number of like variant covers that they've done, and and I know I'm throwing stones in a glass house when I criticize serialized cards when I have serialized comic books. But the difference being is that if I buy one of those serialized covers, that's a guarantee. When I buy a pack with a chance of getting a serialized card in it, that's essentially
Less than
a
1%.
scratcher ticket.
Yeah.
Well, people buy lottery tickets all the time.
And
Lottery hasn't gone anywhere.
correct. And
It hasn't gone to the right department. It's supposed to go to education. But that's a
Well,
whole different topic.
Oh, boy.
I don't think that's something that you're trying to cover in this.
No, not in this episode.
Yeah.
check back next week for that episode. My point being is that I think serialized cards, while intention for collector purposes, but unfortunately, as far as trading cards go, that's the intent doesn't meet the reality.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Intent doesn't meet reality.
Like, they intend for these cards to be everyone wanting to buy them for the sake of saying, oh, I got this like collected card, but unfortunately trading card games and as of now is less about like collecting and more about flipping for product or profit.
No, I think Magic is still very much in the collecting and
And
playing
what I'm saying
phase.
is, if they keep doing serialized cards, it's eventually going to bleed over.
Well, but they've already kind of limited. So I don't know if I don't remember when Brothers War came out, and it may have come out. That may have been out before you started.
I
got
think
into
it was
Magic.
very short.
Brothers War had a. Can we curse on here?
Yeah.
Brothers War had a shit ton of serialized cards, way too many.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the last one that had that many serialized cards.
I didn't even realize they had serialized
Oh,
cards.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
I thought you were both like, oh, yeah.
The art of it did a lot. The artifacts that were
Yeah. And
The Moxes.
no, not. I don't think I had Mox.
There-
I had a Mox Amber.
What- yeah.
You could get a Mox Amber in there, but also like you could get a gate. What is it? Key to the City of
Yeah.
all things. Like it had so many serialized.
I worked at a store when we took in a serialized Key to the City, and to this day, I know it's still there.
I think you guys took in 2 of them at one point.
Oh yeah.
Not surprised.
So, but the issue isn't whether or not they sell. We like I've had discussions with my employees here of do serialized cards even sell? And bottom line is they're very difficult to move from a store's perspective.
Yes.
You have to find the right collector. They're very difficult to move.
You almost have to go onto the online market to do that.
Yes, yes. But but my point is the whole this topic was serialized cards hurting Magic's finances, and I don't think that they are, because what they do is they create hype.
Correct.
And hype makes people. Hype is what's all about. People are wanting to buy the product. And remember that serialized cards aren't the only reason people are excited for a set.
Yeah.
Correct.
You know, there are serialized cards in most sets, and people are not always hyped about most sets.
Yeah, I was excited about this last set because of the artwork. It was just so pretty.
Yeah.
Well, and you look at like what they reprinted Bloom Tender. And,
Yes.
and
Oh, yeah.
especially with that, you know, so it's not just the serialized, but the fractured foils.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
my gosh, the fractured foils.
Which
I
is
think
gorgeous.
those are
Now,
gorgeous.
And I love the fractured foil. I'd rather pull a fractured foil than
Same.
well, I can't say that because the serialized does go for
Right.
a few thousand if you can sell it. So,
But if I want it for
it's
my
still-
personal collection, I want a fractured foil before I want a
100%,
Yeah.
100%. But I also don't mind shelling out the money for a fractured foil over compared to a serialized, because it's like maybe a couple $100 rather than a couple thousand. But my point is the serialized drives sales
Yes.
of
I
this
can see-
collector
I can see what
product.
you're saying there.
Right.
And that's the big thing for the serialized. And now you can look at Brothers War, and
It's fine.
you can look at Brothers War, and you can see that there were too many serialized.
Yes.
And,
I
but I
can see
think
what you're
Wizards
saying
also
there.
learned their lesson, because
Oh, yeah.
they've cut down to sometimes doing none or only doing like the headliner card.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's actually the way to go, is have one of them, unless there's like a reason to do multiples, like the Lord of the Rings, where they did like the soul rings of 3, 7, and 9
Yeah.
was a
Right.
genius, because
Because of the different rings. Yeah.
Oh,
it
yeah.
matched the number of rings that were given to
Yeah.
those
And
races.
that I can agree with. That makes
But
sense
but
on that one.
but
that's-
serialized should still exist, because it helps to get get hype, and you don't have to, like, if you just want the cards to play with, you don't have to buy the collector boosters.
Correct.
See, and that's my whole thing, is there's some card, and I don't have an example because I didn't look at this set to see what was where and how, but I know like Avatar or stuff beforehand, if I was to look on the website, the Wizards website, and see where the cards are going to drop, some of the cards were like, it's only in this, it's only in that,
Yeah.
it's only in collector,
Right.
and it's not even because it's just the alternate art of it, it's just like this card specifically alone is only in a collector, it's only
Right.
in this. And so it's still one of those, like, that's a great card to play, but now,
Well, the collectors never have mechanically unique cards in them. There are always collectors will always collector packs. Anything that you buy in a collector pack, the base version of that can always be found in either they have done it differently in the past, but they can always be found in either a play booster, a jumpstart pack, or the commander deck.
okay.
Now,
That's a good point, the commander
Yeah.
deck.
So let's-
I always forget to think about the commander
so we can
decks.
look at Avatar, because Avatar had a jumpstart set that came out.
Yes.
Yeah.
And those jumpstart cards, with the exception of one of them,
Oh my God.
which was an error,
That was just hilarious.
could be found in the jumpstart packs.
Yes.
One of them ended up being only available in collector packs
Yep.
because they forgot to put them
And
in
it,
the jumpstart
it
pack.
wasn't even a great card, but that
Um,
just because of that alone, it became so valuable.
Right.
It was
But
a
that's
mistake
but
in
the-
serial
But
number.
this was, but that's a mistake, and that doesn't happen normally.
Yeah.
The
I mean-
point is collector packs are meant to be a premium product. They are meant to be the fancy art, the fancy foiling.
Correct.
These that's why you get the extended art. Again, I was Throne of Eldraine was when I got back into Magic, and Throne of Eldraine was the first set they did collector packs for.
Right.
And those were where they had the showcase and the extended art. That was the first time they did showcase and extended art.
Okay.
And so
I love these showcase cards.
Oh,
so do I. I
They're
love them.
so pretty.
And they've just expanded on that Ikoria, then you had, yes, you could get the Godzilla cards as box toppers, but you could also get the Godzilla cards in the collector packs.
Yeah.
So again,
my
it was-
favorite magic creature, Godzilla.
It was, we can, Universe Beyond maybe for another day.
I mean, it is going to be something I'm going to eventually have for
It's-
another.
I think it's a worthwhile topic for another day. But
Yes.
the point is collector packs are stuff that
Right.
you can get elsewhere, but you
Yeah.
can sometimes get in the collector packs
Right.
as maybe a special art or just a
And-
higher, a more rare version of it.
And overall,
And I
do.
think that's why I think that's
Yeah.
the benefit of it.
And overall, I do agree with you. It's just my and I'll admit I'm letting my own personal bias against serialized cards and like the mentality around that cloud my judgment. I don't think
That's kind
that.
of what I wanted, honestly.
I think it's good for Wizard sales, their numbers, their hype. It's good to have serialized cards. I just don't like the mentality that is brought with it.
You don't like them personally, and you're worried about it inviting the wrong element into
Yeah.
into the
Yes.
market, which is fair, but it has not yet, and I don't think it will, because of the cost and the sheer rarity.
Right.
You also have to keep in mind that
It'll-
most Magic players.
That'll all change with one Logan Paul video.
That's fair.
God, no,
Hopefully,
please,
Logan Paul
no.
doesn't watch this channel.
If Logan Paul watches this, I will be shocked. And if he does, I have.
If
other
Logan
things
Paul
I
makes
can
a
say
video
to
about
you.
Magic the Gathering and cracks open some Magic the Gathering stuff, you will be to blame.
If Logan Paul does
Good
that,
job.
if Logan Paul does that, we're gonna have a little talk about other things first.
We're gonna have to pay him royalty every time we say his name.
No,
No, I think he's got to pay us royalty.
half of nothing, still nothing in my world.
Anyway, so I completely lost my train of thought.
This is going
It's
great.
I love this.
but ultimately you think that it's a good thing for Wizards.
Yes.
It's just you're worried about inviting the wrong
Yes.
people because yes, I do see what it's done. What that type of person does to the Pokemon and the One Piece. I don't know if you paid attention to One Piece.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys have paid attention to Yu-Gi-Oh, but they're doing full art, all art cards now, and I'm worried that it's going to do that same thing to Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yu-Gi-Oh still exists.
Yeah.
Ha 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 ha.
I'm
ha,
kidding.
ha, ha.
I'm kidding. We actually carry the most recent Yu-Gi-Oh set.
Oh, you change your tune as soon as you can plug your store.
No, it's been on the shelf for a couple weeks. We barely sold any of it.
Oh boy.
Oh, well, yeah, because they hear you say stuff like that.
They haven't until now. No, I just we don't have anything on the calendar.
I'm
to
so
run
happy
Yu-Gi-Oh
you're
events.
sitting between us.
I kind of am too. All right. So, any last thoughts on the serialized?
I think I've said my piece.
So we'll go to the last topic if you're ready.
Oh yeah, no, I'm good.
So, in the last big press release, whatever that Wizards did, they mentioned with Reality Fracture. Is it Reality Fracture or Fracture Reality?
Fractured reality.
Fracture Reality. That only thing they told us is there's something they've always been wanting to do. They just didn't know how they were going to do it and everything else, but they figured it out. They figured out a way. I want to know, because they won't tell us the story, they won't tell us the plot, they won't tell us anything else about it. What are your prediction or predictions for what we can expect from this set?
Mind if I go first? Because mine's going to be pretty boring.
Go for it.
First of all, I don't make predictions about future sets because I'm just very bad at it.
He also doesn't want to risk being wrong.
That too.
I'm all about being wrong.
But here's what I do understand about it is it's supposed to be the culmination of the storyline that's been going on through basically since the end of the Phyrexian
Okay.
stuff. So I'm hoping that I absolutely love their new mascot. Loot.
Loot is so fun.
I love loot. I have a loot deck. I have a loot deck box. I have a loot deck box that goes over my loot deck box.
And
You
I have
should
a
see
Loot
all of
chaos deck.
You should see all of his loot.
Yeah, thank you for that cue.
You're welcome.
I absolutely love loot. We just talked about the fractured foils. I paid $200 for a fractured foil loot to headline as the commander for the loot deck when the regular version cost about $2.
Yep.
I think
So you know what? I absolutely love loot.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel
And I'm looking forward
bad.
to loot being in this set.
Yes.
And seeing
It's going to be a very big point for Loot, I
Right.
think.
yeah.
I feel so bad for Luke because I remember when he came out, everybody. This was around the same
Luke's
time
career?
as. Huh?
Nothing.
I remember when Luke came out. It was around the same time as during Baby Yoda's peak notoriety, and everybody thought, "Oh,
Yeah.
Magic's just doing Baby Yoda," and I thought that was unfair.
That is very unfair for Luke.
Also not Baby Yoda anymore. It's Grogu.
Well, you have
So as far as predictions go, from what I've heard, the point of this is that they'll be doing stuff that's going to break the color pie. Possibly planeswalkers that, like, maybe an Ajani that is black.
yeah.
Maybe a Liliana that is white, that sort of thing.
And that's kind of where my brain's going, but in a slightly unique way. But yeah.
And I think that's a cool idea of, especially if they're giving us characters that we know and love, but that are
in a different formula.
definitely looking different than what we might know.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that idea. It's kind of like the whole Star Trek mirror universe.
Yeah.
Right? Was it mirror universe
Yeah,
or Star Trek?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I don't do Star Trek, guys. I'm sorry.
Well, okay, Transformer Shattered Glass.
Yes.
I know that.
makes more sense.
Okay.
There you go.
Transformer Shattered Glass. It's the same concept.
Yeah.
Of these things that are basically just the same but just look different.
Yeah.
So I'm looking. I think that's what we'll see. But again, I expect to see Loot, and maybe instead of Teamer, he'll be Mardu. I don't know.
Yeah.
There we go. That's my prediction.
Mardu
Loot will be in here, but instead of Teamer, he'll be Mardu.
Mardu Loot has the black eyeliner, the mohawk, just like
Emo
the leather
punk.
the leather
I
jacket.
will absolutely make a
Emo
commander deck out of
punk
that.
Loot. Emo punk Loot. Please make it a thing.
I think they're gonna add the color purple. No.
Oh my God.
I've seen that so much
Q,
online.
You remember this whole thing about this being my store?
Yeah.
Get out.
Says the guy with purple walls.
I love the purple walls, but
So I've had a few thoughts about what Fractured Reality is going to do. Again, this is also just kind of like my comic book brain rot,
Yeah.
but I think they're going to do a reset, a hard reset on the Magic lore, kind of like what they do with DC every other year. And that's just my one theory. Another theory is I think they're gonna introduce a new card type. That's not. And when I say card type, I'm not meaning like a creature type or something. I'm talking like a brand new
Like mechanic.
Like that's not a planeswalker, not an enchantment, something.
kind of like how they introduced battle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But
Or rooms.
Yeah.
Well, rooms was a subtype. It was still
Yeah.
enchantments.
Fair.
Okay, let's try this. What if they don't necessarily introduce a new card type, but they finally give battle a secondary subtype?
Ooh.
Because
That'd be
before it was
cool.
siege. It's always been battle
Yeah.
siege.
Mm-hmm.
So now they give us a new battle subtype.
Okay. Interesting.
But I'm also waiting to see Fractured Reality was just a code name for their new Universes Beyond this year.
Oh, please.
We
don't
know, we know that's not the case.
I
We know
know.
that's not the case. But
But no, I'm excited to see what they roll out. Again, I think they're gonna just reset the lore and start anew. You're gonna see alternate universe Jace, or just kind of like they just do the multiverse thing. They
Okay.
meet other they do like other colors that are just planeswalkers that from another universe.
it's like Jace, but he's green.
yes, it's Jace, but
Okay,
it's
I
like
love that you guys said that the exact same time.
Well, that's because that's kind of where my brain goes with a lot of things. And before I explain my theory, first I want to make sure you're good.
yeah.
I need a clarification before I explain my theory, because I've been sitting on this theory without knowledge of the lore. Because again, with such small blocks, it's been hard for me to understand what's going
Yeah.
on. I know Loot is with Jace. And
Yeah.
Jace is trying to Jace was trying to use Loot for some purpose, and I don't know what that purpose was.
He was trying to get into where Nicol Bolas was being held captive.
And Loot was the
And Loot has this ability to go between planes.
Yes, I knew that part about Loot.
Without Loot has an ability to open omen paths.
yes.
So
why-
ultimately
why are we
in
going for Nicol
Dragonstorm,
Bolas?
because Jace wanted to find
Ugin.
Nicol Bolas. I
Oh,
don't think he
right.
wanted to find Ugin. I think he wanted to find Nicol Bolas.
Yeah.
Now I don't remember exactly what happened at the end of Dragonstorm, but ultimately at the end of Dragonstorm, Nicol Bolas escaped
Yeah.
Yeah.
because Jace interfered.
Because
Yeah.
Jace done messed
Yeah,
up.
if I
which
remember
is notorious
correctly-
Jace.
If I remember correctly, it's because Jace needed something that Nicol Bolas or Ugin, I can't remember, had. He wanted like something that would give him more power to do whatever his grand scheme was.
Okay.
That honestly
So-
kind of is very Urza of him.
That's kind of where my brain was going. I thought if there was sort of some ulterior motive like that is why he was trying to keep Loot around, because in my brain I have three different thoughts on this. First off, when I think reality fracture, I do think mental fracture. So I was thinking we're going to see two sides of Jace, almost like multiple personality disorder. So that was one thought, which it could happen. But even with that happening, here's my whole thing is Jace has been on a constant thing of where he messes up and messes up and messes up. And every time he's like, I can fix it. I can fix it. So I had this thought that because he is a person of the mind, he's going to find some way to do some type of astral projection type thing and try to astral project to his past self to go, hey, don't do that thing. It messes everything up.
Which just leads back to
And then
reset.
it does a big reset because the past Jace is like, bet, we're not going to do that. And then it just past resets to where we are going to have to see what happens. Like, oh, well, that may have fixed some problems, but it's made other problems worse.
And now
like,
they bring back Phyrexians.
well, that's what I'm saying. It makes other problems worse, like where Phyrexia won or something like that. And we do see the Planeswalkers of one of their rival colors. Like you said, a Liliana who's white, a Jace who is now red, a Chandra who's blue, something like that.
I had a thought.
Don't hurt yourself.
That's all right. Jace, I don't see Jace ever trying to convince his younger self that he was wrong.
You think he's too egotistical for
Yeah.
it?
I think Jace is a classic narcissist.
Oh yeah.
Ooh. But he always has the whole thing of like, I messed up, I can fix it. And so I feel like that's
don't
his
know-
way of saying I can fix it by fixing
Has Jace
that.
ever actually admitted to being wrong? He's always just basically said, I know what's... Jace is Professor X.
Yeah.
Ooh, hot. Oh, in fuego. I never thought of using that analogy.
In several ways.
It's not wrong.
Yeah.
He feels he knows
To me,
what's
my
best.
Planeswalkers.
Man, I kind of need that. I kind of need that graphic now.
Right? Absolutely.
Can you do that for us? Okay. We're gonna see if somebody can make if my graphic design guy.
I
Can
was saying,
make
what
that.
you guys don't know is that the graphic designer of the store is here working at the counter, so we just got a salute for that.
That would be actually pretty awesome. If we could do this.
Oh my god.
I just that's the whole thing with Jace is even
Right.
when he was being told that he's doing too much by Vraska,
Yeah.
he said, "No, fuck off. I know what I'm doing,"
Yeah.
Okay.
and left Vraska in the dust.
I mean, and
He
you could be
tortured Loot
Oh yeah.
because he felt that because everything to Jace is a means to an end.
Correct.
That
He's-
makes sense.
He's justified because he believes he's doing the right thing.
Yeah, it's Professor X.
Yeah.
Okay. I can see what you guys are saying. That's interesting.
Yeah, for all the comic fans out there, yes, Professor X is the villain. In most story, Professor X
is the villain.
Oh, yeah.
Magneto
Even-
was right.
I don't know what I'd go with.
I would, but that's just
That's fair.
Well, maybe I should do a comic show.
right.
Hey,
Stay
I
tuned
told
for
you-
my
I told
next
you I'll be on
channel. Stay tuned for my next channel.
But I don't see Jace ever
Right.
being willing to look at himself enough to go back to an earlier version and say, I fucked up, we need to change something.
You're right.
Fair enough. I know Jace is somehow gonna be the
yeah.
cause of whatever happens.
Have no doubt that Jace
yeah.
is gonna screw things up.
Oh
worse.
yeah.
This might also have, again, Nicol Bolas has escaped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I don't think we don't really know what's going on in Strixhaven, so we'll have to see. And I think
I mean, we got
Fractured
some-
Reality is the next set after Strixhaven.
It is. It's
the next
universe.
magic.
The next
set.
the next universe within set.
Because I know, like even with Lorwyn, we did see some of the first years that hints about Strixhaven. There were some first year cards, so it is kind of neat. So I think we will see some hints in Strixhaven for that next set, but I don't know if we're going to see enough to get a true idea. That's why I want to throw it down now.
Honestly, I need to watch. Not
Before we
going to
have
put some
anything
videos
revealed.
on the store TV and listen to like some of what happened.
I mean, let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, maybe after we're done recording.
Okay.
Well, yeah,
popcorn.
absolutely. I say, and then stay tuned for Q's new channel called Q's Quirks. It's all about comics.
Q's Keycast.
Q's Comic Quirks.
Yes.
There you go. No,
That's mine. I'm stealing that.
it's gonna
That is
be-
my property.
it's-
I'm all right with that.
It's comics.
It's not like I could use it. I don't go by Q.
It's comics starting with a Q. So it's QOMICS. Q's Comics Quirks.
I'll tell you what.
This
You're
is
both.
why-
You're both my first guess.
This is why I enjoy these
Q,
people.
Hang on, Q cubed.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Well, I really don't have anything else to add, guys. Is there any last thoughts you guys want to share before we wrap this thing up?
No, but I want to be your first guest on Q cubed.
Done. All right. Thank you, Alice, so much for having
Absolutely.
me.
Yeah, it was-
And
it
I
was
can
fun.
almost forgive you for inviting Rob.
And I'm still not sure if I can forgive you for inviting Q.
Well, guys, thank you so much for coming to this. Like I said, name is in the process. I'll definitely have it on Tuesday with their actual upload, so we'll actually have official name by then. But until then, take it easy, take care of yourselves, and remember, always pay the one.